I'm a progressive, and I represent people who think progressively. I am gender fluid. I transition daily. Personally, I think Dundas Street should be renamed to Theresa Tam Boulevard because, as we know, Theresa Tam is a feminist hero of our time. Pardon me, I just had a booster and it's still just kind of hurting all of my organs. We should have a public event where we put up a Chinese flag and we blow up the statue of the first Prime Minister of Canada.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. And folks, I'm with funny man Ben Bankas. He is one of the 102, you heard me right, 102 candidates vying for mayor of Toronto. And well, let's cut to the chase, Ben. Why should a Torontonian vote for you?
I already spoke with the Chinese embassy and they have informed me that irregardless of who votes, I will be winning this election.
Well, there you have it. A bit of a scoop for Rebel News. Now, Ben, the city right now is in a state of mourning. The beloved Maple Leafs did their de rigueur early exit from the Stanley Cup playoffs. But I understand you have a sporting plank in your platform. What is it?
Yeah, so we intend to make the viewing and or spectating of male sports illegal in the city of Toronto. So all bars and restaurants will be required to play WNHL, WNBA, figure skating, other sports that are dominated by women. And we will be trading in the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors and creating two WNBA teams, keep all of the same players. And, I think if we throw enough money at them that they will transition and we will then finally be able to win.
Ben, this is incredible. If I understand you correctly, you are going to outlaw male professional sports, have female-only professional sports, but if a male athlete identifies as a female, he can play on that she team. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct. And if people have an issue with that, they can always play ringette. Because, even trans people don't want to play ringette.
Now, Ben, I can't help but notice your haberdashery. You are looking resplendent. You've got a trans handkerchief, the baby blue and pink and white. Ben Bankas, what are we to understand from such fashion?
I'm a progressive, and I represent people who think progressively. And the only way to truly be progressive is to continuously have more and more LGBTQ plus clothing and or flags, imagery in your storefront, in your bank. For instance, you go to a BMO Bank of Montreal, very progressive. Every single teller has a trans flag at their booth, which as a straight person, when you walk in, you feel uncomfortable, and that's what we want. We want straight people to feel uncomfortable because we are bringing in a new tax for straight people. If they're single, it's a lower tax than if they have a family. And of course, they will be incentivized to, again, transition and, leave their family to the state. I am gender fluid. I transition daily. Usually in the morning when I wake up, I will transition, brush my teeth, transition to male, spend most of the day as male, and then maybe come home. When my fiance starts yelling at me, I transition to female and, get put on my pajamas and go to bed. And so I know about how hard it is to transition and detransition and then retransition. That's something I really understand. Pardon me, I just had a booster and it's still just kind of hurting all of my organs.
What is your position on spending tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money to simply rename streets?
Well, I think tens of millions of dollars is way too little money We need to be spending minimum $500 million a year on getting rid of statues, tearing down the majority of buildings built by and or architecturally designed by white people. I think that's a good investment of our time. Personally, I think Dundas Street should be renamed to Theresa Tam Boulevard because, as we know, Theresa Tam is a feminist hero of our time. She locked us down. She kept us safe. I don't know why the statue of Sir John A. Macdonald that is in Queen's Park is still hidden by a plastic bag over its head and a box around it. I think it should be not only taken down, but destroyed publicly. We should have a public event where we put up a Chinese flag and we blow up the statue of the first Prime Minister of Canada.
Now, Ben, what about the Gardner Expressway? There are those on the left, they want to tear it down. Hey, it's an ugly structure, I admit, but it moves traffic. What is your position?
I think we should give it back to the natives, give the land back to the natives. Of course, that is my number one strategy for most things. And then what we can do is basically have the highway not be operational, and underneath it, we can have native people selling cheap cigarettes and marijuana as in their own territory. And then we're thinking about maybe just building some mosques just as many mosques as we can, as many teepees as we can fit on top of the Gardner Expressway all along, all the way into Toronto. And I think that it'll be a nice walking route.
Those on the right are saying, get rid of the bike lanes, save the Gardner. Where do you stand?
So what I want to do is I want to keep the bike lanes, but I want to make them BIPOC only. So I'd like to ban white people from the bike lanes because, as we know, white people have white privilege, which means that they can afford a vehicle, which means they do not need to ride a bicycle. That is for the Black and brown and Indigenous individuals who are bringing food to and from white people. So we need to ensure that they have an open route to bring food to whites, and this will make whites happy, and then we will ban whites from biking because they don't need to. A lot of people want me to debate this individual named Chris Sky. I do not know who this individual is. I've never met this individual. But he does have a lot of tattoos, so I like that because, as you know, I'm a liberal and liberals have tattoos. So my first impression is he might be a liberal. And in that case, maybe we'll get along and maybe we'll be able to take over the city together. But some people are telling me he is the most racist, transphobic, homophobic, anti-vaccine, anti-mask, anti-progressive candidate. We will legitimately bring back smoking indoors by permit. You'll be able to apply for it. You can get a permit to smoke indoors, and we're going to leave the bars open till 4 a.m. because that's when people need a party. We need to bring back fun in the city, and that's how we're going to do it. We are going to decriminalize all hard drugs. We're thinking about the city of Toronto making its own crack cocaine and heroin and fentanyl in City of Toronto locations so that we can then sell City of Toronto hard drugs to the homeless of the City of Toronto and therefore profit off of their suffering.
Well, there you go, folks. Ben Bankas, he said it himself. What we need is more gayness here. He doesn't mean sexual orientation. He means more people having fun. And as a straight white man myself, I got to tell you, I'm looking around. It really does feel like a gay day in May. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, whatever happened to education in the classroom as opposed to indoctrination, and what vile indoctrination it is indeed. If you feel the way we do, please go to stopclassroomgrooming.com. That's stopclassroomgrooming.com. Sign the petition and we shall deliver it to the powers that be.